West Africa, the lands of rhythm and river. West Africa, a region where the earth seems to sing. From the windswept dunes of Mauritania to the emerald forests of Sierra Leone, from the mighty Niger River to the golden coasts of Ghana, this is a land of rhythm and resilience. Here, the Sahara softens into savanna, and the Atlantic beats endlessly upon shores that have carried humanity's stories for millennia. Trade, empire, spirit, and song. This chapter begins at the edge of the desert and the sea, in a place where dunes meet ocean mist, and where caravans once carried the wealth of Africa across sands that glowed beneath the moonlight. Mauritania, the desert's edge. In Mauritania, the desert is everything. It rolls endlessly south from the heart of the Sahara, swallowing the horizon in waves of gold and ochre. Here, sand meets sea, and the line between land and sky blurs into mirage. Yet, within this stark beauty lies a deep and enduring spirit of endurance, faith, and silence. To the west, the Atlantic Ocean crashes against a barren coastline. The city of Nouakchott, built where the dunes meet the surf, hums with life, its streets lined with markets, fishermen hauling in their catch from colorful pirogues that battle the surf each morning. Beyond the city, the Bongdiarga National Park stretches along the coast, a vast expanse of tidal flats, islands, and dunes where millions of migratory birds rest each year. Flamingos wade through shimmering lagoons, and the air hums with the sound of wings. Further inland, the desert deepens. The Adrar Plateau rises in sculpted cliffs and canyons, its sandstone walls carved by time and wind. Oases like Shingeti and Wadan emerge from the dunes like mirages, ancient trading towns once known as the cities of libraries. Their narrow alleys and crumbling stone mosques whisper of the days when caravans passed through carrying gold, salt, and manuscripts, the wisdom of Africa bound in leather and ink. The Air Guaran dunes shimmer in the heat, their crests shifting with the wind. Nomadic herders still move through these sands, their camels tracing paths across an ocean of silence. In the evenings, the sky ignites, a dome of fire and amethyst fading into a sea of stars. Mauritania is a land where life endures against all odds, where desert winds carry the breath of history, and where the spirit of the Sahara still reigns, vast and eternal.
Mali. There are places in Africa where history feels alive, where the air itself seems to hum with the memory of empires. Mali is such a place. From the sands of Timbuktu to the cliffs of Bandiagara, it is a land that once ruled the imagination of the world. In the 13th and 14th centuries, the Empire of Mali was one of the wealthiest on earth. Its kings, most famously Mansa Musa, commanded lands that stretched across the Sahel, trading gold and salt with caravans that crossed the Sahara to the Mediterranean. It was a time when learning, art, and architecture flourished beneath the desert sun. The city of Timbuktu, once a beacon of scholarship, still stands beside the Niger River. Its mosques, Djinguereba, Sankore, and Sidi Yahya, rise from the sand, their mud brick walls glowing gold at sunset. For centuries, Timbuktu was a city of books, where scholars gathered from across the Islamic world to study and teach. Even now, its manuscripts, fragile, handwritten, centuries old, are guarded like treasures of the soul. Southward, the Bandiagara escarpment slices across the land, a dramatic sandstone cliff stretching nearly 150 kilometers. The Dogon people, who have lived here for centuries, built their homes into the cliff faces, their villages clinging to the rock like swallows' nests. Their culture, rich in cosmology and art, remains one of the most profound on the continent, a living bridge between the earthly and the divine. To the north lies the Sahara, endless and austere. To the south, the Niger River curves through green floodplains, sustaining life in the heart of the desert. Along its banks, fishermen glide in carved pirogues, and markets blossom in towns like Mopti and Djenné, where the great mosque, built entirely of mud, rises like a mountain of faith, each year renewed by the hands of its people. There are places in Africa where history feels alive. Mali is a tapestry of time, of empires and artisans, of river and sand. It is Africa's memory written in earth and water, a land where the past is not gone, but still breathing, still singing. As the sun sets over the Niger River and the sand cools beneath the stars, our journey through West Africa draws to a close. From the forests of Ghana to the deserts of Mali, from the kingdoms of the coast to the empires of the Sahel, this has been a voyage through the heart of history, a story of endurance, beauty, and belonging.
Burkina Faso, land of honorable people. In the heart of West Africa lies Burkina Faso, a landlocked nation of red soil and golden light, where the horizon stretches endlessly and the air hums with the rhythm of tradition. Its name, meaning land of upright people, speaks to a quiet dignity that runs through its villages, its music, and its soul. From the dry plains of the north to the green valleys of the south, Burkina Faso's geography tells a story of endurance. The Sahel dominates the north, a vast expanse of scrub and savanna, dotted with acacia trees that bow beneath the wind. Herders move with their cattle beneath a sun that blazes like fire, their shadows long against the sand. Further south, the land becomes gentler. Fields of millet and sorghum ripple in the breeze, and the scent of shea trees fills the air. The Muhon River, one of the few perennial rivers here, winds lazily through the countryside, its waters a lifeline for both people and wildlife. To the west rise the Sindhu Peaks, strange stone spires carved by wind and rain over millennia. They stand like ancient sentinels above the savanna, their forms casting long shadows at sunset. Nearby, the Karfagella waterfalls tumble through green cliffs, an oasis of sound and mist in a land of silence. In the capital, Ouagadougou, life beats with creativity. Drums echo through the night. Dancers move with the grace of flame. Every 2 years, the city hosts FESPACO, Africa's greatest film festival, a celebration of storytelling and vision. Burkina Faso's people live close to the land, their traditions woven from the soil itself. The Mosi, the largest ethnic group, trace their heritage to the ancient warrior kingdoms that once ruled these plains. Their chiefs still hold court beneath sacred trees, where history and the present meet in quiet ceremony. Here, in this land of upright hearts, life flows in simple beauty, resilient as the grass that grows after rain, enduring as the drum that calls across the savanna. The sea of sand and sky. To the north, where Burkina Faso's plains rise into dust and wind, begins Niger, a land shaped by the vastness of the Sahara. More than 2/3 of the country lies beneath the rule of the desert, where dunes stretch beyond sight and time itself seems to sleep beneath the sun. The Tenere Desert, part of the Greater Sahara, is one of the most desolate and beautiful places on Earth. Here, mountains of sand shift like living things. The Air Mountains, ancient and eroded, rise from the desert like islands from a sea. Their volcanic peaks cradle hidden valleys where date palms grow beside trickling springs, and rock art adorns stone walls, painted thousands of years ago when this land was green and full of life. In the heart of this wilderness stands Agadez, the city of clay and memory. Once a center of trans-Saharan trade, its streets still twist between earthen walls, and its famous minaret of the Grand Mosque, built of mud brick, points toward the blazing sky, a symbol of endurance in a world of impermanence. To the south, where the desert gives way to grassland, life gathers along the Niger River. In cities like Niamey, markets burst with color and sound. The air smells of roasted millet and dust. Donkeys bray amid the chatter of traders. Fishermen cast their nets beneath the glow of evening as children laugh along the riverbanks. The land here is fragile, but the people's spirit is strong. Farmers coax crops from parched soil. Herders follow the rains with ancient wisdom, and communities adapt in harmony with the rhythm of scarcity and renewal. Niger's history runs deep. It was once part of great empires, Songhai, Kanem Bornu, whose influence stretched across the Sahel. Today, its deserts still whisper those names, carried by the wind through canyons of stone. In Niger, silence is not emptiness, it is the heartbeat of the earth, slow, vast, eternal.
The desert and the lake. At the very heart of Africa lies a land of extremes, a nation where the Sahara's silence meets the whisper of water. This is Chad, vast, rugged, and magnificent, a place where survival is an art, and the land itself is both challenge and muse. To the north stretches the Sahara Desert, endless and austere, a sea of sand that glows gold dawn and bleeds crimson at sunset. Here, the Tibesti Mountains rise from the desert floor like an ancient fortress. Their volcanic peaks, among the highest in the Sahara, are crowned by Emi Kusi, a dormant volcano, towering more than 3,400 meters above sea level. In this isolation, time feels ancient. The wind carrying echoes of nomads, of caravans, of worlds long vanished. In hidden canyons and on weathered rock walls, the Sahara still bears the painted memory of life from thousands of years ago. Giraffes, elephants, and hunters. These rock art galleries remind us that this desert was once alive with rivers, herds, and forests, a testament to the Earth's changing face and to humanity's enduring mark. Further south, the desert softens into the Sahel, a belt of grassland and acacia where life clings to rhythm and resilience. Nomadic herders move across the plains, their camels and goats kicking up dust beneath a merciless sun. Here, the Tubu and Zagawa people live as their ancestors did, navigating invisible routes across the dunes, their lives measured by water, stars, and wind. And then, in stark contrast to the endless sand, appears one of Africa's great inland wonders, Lake Chad. Once vast as a sea, its waters have receded through time, yet its presence still defines this nation. Fishermen glide in narrow wooden boats, reeds sway like green curtains, herons and pelicans rise in flocks that shimmer against the sky. Around its shrinking shores, life gathers, farmers, herders, birds, and fish, all depending on its fragile abundance. This lake is a symbol of hope and warning, a reminder that even great waters can fade, and that climate and survival are bound in one story. The Chari and Logone rivers flow into the lake, bringing life from the south. Along their banks, the land turns fertile, a quilt of farmlands, palms, and villages. Here in N'Djamena, the capital, modern life hums with quiet determination. Markets overflow with color, peppers, fabrics, and spices. Voices rise in Arabic, French, Sera, and countless local tongues. The scent of roasted meat and dust fills the air. Chad is a land of many peoples, more than 200 ethnic groups, each with its own language, tradition, and rhythm. From the desert nomads to the river farmers, from the city dwellers to the cattle herders, this diversity is its strength and its eternal challenge. To the south lies a world transformed. The Guinea savannas roll out in green waves, giving rise to dense forests and wildlife sanctuaries. In places like Zakuma National Park, elephants roam in great herds again, a triumph of conservation and resilience. Here, lions stalk in the tall grass, giraffes graze in the glow of the setting sun, and the night fills with the chorus of frogs and cicadas, a reminder that even in a land of hardship, renewal is always near. Chad's story is one of endurance, of a people who live where earth and sky seem endless, where the horizon burns with heat by day and stars by night. Its deserts have tested travelers and poets alike. Its waters have sustained civilizations older than memory. And through it all, its people remain steadfast, adapting, surviving, and carrying forward a quiet grace forged by the elements themselves. The north remembers fire and wind. The center endures in dust and grass. The south flourishes in green. And in between them all, the rivers flow, carrying not just water, but the story of a nation that refuses to fade. This is Chad, a land of contrasts, of silence and song, of desert and lake, a land that holds the memory of an ancient world and the promise of another still rising. In its vastness, we see the endurance of Africa itself, unbroken, unending, and eternal.
Senegal, where the river meets the sea. South of Mauritania, the desert gives way to grassland and forest, and the rhythm of life begins to quicken. Senegal is a country defined by movement, the flow of rivers, the beat of drums, the pulse of cities alive with color and sound. Along its western edge, the Atlantic Ocean stretches wide and wild. Here lies Dakar, the westernmost city of the African mainland, vibrant, energetic, and unyielding. Its streets hum with music and motion. Embolic rhythms pulse through the night. Fishermen pull their nets onto beaches of volcanic rock, and artists paint the walls with the colors of the sun. Offshore, the island of Gorée floats quietly, its pastel houses and narrow lanes belying a painful past. The house of slaves, its door of no return open to the sea, stands as a solemn reminder of the millions taken from these shores. Yet in that memory there is resilience, a testament to a people who turned sorrow into song, who shaped identity from loss. Further inland, the Senegal River winds like a silver ribbon along the northern border, feeding fields of rice and millet. In the south, the Casamance region flourishes with lush forests and winding waterways, its villages shaded by palms and mango trees. Here, life moves to the rhythm of the drum and the dance. Senegal is where Africa greets the ocean, with strength, with music, and with the unbroken spirit of its people. The Gambia, a river's country. The Gambia is Africa's smallest mainland nation, yet its soul runs deep, carried in the waters of the river that shares its name. The Gambia River, winding 1,130 kilometers from the Fouta Djallon highlands to the Atlantic, is the country's lifeline, its road, its heart, its history. On its banks, forests whisper and mangroves breathe with the tide. Fishermen glide in wooden pirogues through waters alive with bird call and reflection. The Kiong West National Park shelters baboons, crocodiles, and 1,000 wings beating through the reeds. At the river's mouth lies Banjul, the capital, small, low-lying, and filled with the rhythm of trade and tide. The city's market bursts with color, fabrics, spices, and the scent of smoked fish. Beyond the city, rural villages still move to ancient rhythms, drumming at dusk, children playing by the riverbank as the sun melts into crimson. The Gambia's history is entwined with the river's flow. Once a route of exploration and tragedy, it is now a channel of life, carrying hope, commerce, and connection. In the Gambia, the river is everything. It is memory, sustenance, and song, a mirror of Africa's endurance, winding softly to the sea.
Guinea-Bissau, the Mangrove Kingdom. On the western edge of Africa, where the land gives way to the sea in a maze of green and gold, lies Guinea-Bissau, a small nation with a vast soul. Here, the ocean and the mangrove are inseparable. They breathe together, whisper together, shaping a world where water defines every path, every life, every song. The coastline of Guinea-Bissau stretches low and wide, cut by countless estuaries and islands. This is a world of tides and silence, a place where the sea seeps into the land in slow rhythm, nurturing one of the richest mangrove systems on Earth. The mangroves rise like cathedrals of roots, sheltering fish, oysters, and birds. Crabs scuttle through mud tinted red by the setting sun. Pelicans drift above mirrored water, their wings cutting across clouds reflected in endless pools. Offshore lies the jewel of this land, the Bijagos Archipelago, a labyrinth of 88 islands and islets scattered like emeralds across the Atlantic. Each island holds its own mystery, its own rhythm. Some are cloaked in forest, others stretch as open beaches where turtles crawl ashore to lay their eggs under starlight. Dolphins play in the channels, and manatees, rare and gentle, drift through seagrass meadows unseen. For the Bijago people, who have lived here for centuries, the islands are sacred. Their traditions tie land, sea, and spirit into one. Every island has its guardian spirit, every tide its meaning. In their ceremonies, masks of wood and fiber come alive, representing ancestors, animals, and the invisible forces that bind life together. In their beliefs, the mangrove is not just a tree, it is an ancestor that protects, provides, and remembers. On the mainland, the land shifts from swamp to savanna, from palm-dotted lowlands to gentle hills. Rivers like the Jebus, the Kurabal, and the Keseyu snake their way through rice paddies and forests before spilling into the Atlantic. During the rains, the country turns lush, green beyond imagining, alive with the hum of insects and the cry of birds returning from distant continents.
Further inland, the Bow region stands apart, an expanse of wild bushland and rocky plateaus where chimpanzees still roam and waterfalls tumble through hidden ravines. It was here, in this quiet hinterland, that the struggle for independence began, a reminder that this peaceful land once echoed with the determination of those who fought to be free.
Guinea, the waters of the West. In the highlands of West Africa, where mist curls through ancient forests and waterfalls thunder from mountains of stone, the story of Guinea begins. It is here, in the Fouta Djallon, that some of Africa's greatest rivers are born. The Niger, the Senegal, and the Gambia all take their first breath in these mountains before wandering across the continent to nourish distant lands. The Fouta Djallon is a realm of cool air and red earth. Its slopes are blanketed in forest, where chimpanzees move through the canopy and the songs of birds fill the morning light. Villages cling to the hillsides, their round mud brick houses ringed by terraces of millet and rice. Waterfalls, Ditin, King Kong, Kambadaga, cascade through deep gorges, feeding valleys alive with life. Descending from the mountains, Guinea unfolds into three distinct worlds. The Middle Guinea highlands give way to the humid forest region in the south, where the Mount Nimba Strict Nature Reserve, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, rises in mist and mystery. Its slopes host rare species found nowhere else on Earth: pygmy hippos, unique frogs, and plants that cling to life in the damp cloud forest. To the west, the Atlantic coast opens wide and green, a labyrinth of mangroves and estuaries. The capital, Conakry, stretches across a peninsula, its streets filled with the sound of trade and tide. Here, the scent of salt mixes with music, and the ocean carries both livelihood and longing.
Sierra Leone, the land of mountains and light. Where the green hills tumble into the Atlantic and rainforests meet the ocean, Sierra Leone, the Lion Mountains, rises from mist and memory. Its name was given by Portuguese sailors centuries ago, who saw the peaks above Freetown and thought they roared like lions in the storm. This is a country of water and green, where rain falls in silver sheets and rivers weave through forests, alive with the hum of insects and birds. The Loma Mountains, crowned by Mount Bintumani, stretch toward the clouds, the highest peaks in West Africa outside Cameroon. Below them, forest canopies shelter chimpanzees, forest elephants, and hornbills whose calls echo through the valleys. The narrator softly. Sierra Leone is a place of healing, where nature reclaims, where the mountains still roar, and where hope rises like the sun over the Atlantic horizon.
Liberia, the green heart of freedom. Along the coast, where dense rainforests meet the Atlantic surf, Liberia stands as one of Africa's most storied lands. Founded by freed African Americans and Afro-Caribbeans in the 19th century, its name meaning simply, the land of liberty. The geography of Liberia is a symphony of water and forest. Rivers like the St. Paul, St. John, and Sestos flow through jungles thick with life, corridors of mahogany and ironwood where leopards stalk in shadow and pygmy hippos move silently through the undergrowth. The Sapo National Park, one of West Africa's last pristine rainforests, shelters a world barely touched by time. On the coast, palm-fringed beaches stretch for miles. The capital, Monrovia, sits between river and ocean, bustling with markets and movement. The air carries the scent of salt, smoke, and fruit. Voices rise in a dozen tongues. In the hills above, clouds gather each afternoon, breaking in sudden tropical rain that leaves the world glistening. Liberia's history is carved from courage and contradiction, freedom built upon return, independence shadowed by struggle. Yet through it all, the land has endured, lush and unwavering. Inland, the Nimba Range marks the border with Guinea and Côte d'Ivoire, its peaks wrapped in mist. Waterfalls plunge through green valleys, and the cry of hornbills echoes from the trees. It is a landscape that seems to breathe, a place where life begins anew each day.
Côte d'Ivoire, the Golden Coast and the Forest Heart. Stretching between the savannas of the north and the sea-swept coast of the south, Côte d'Ivoire, the Ivory Coast, is a land of dazzling variety, where ancient forests meet glittering lagoons and modern skylines rise beside sacred groves. Ghana, the Golden Land. On the shores of the Gulf of Guinea, where golden beaches meet forests of emerald green, lies Ghana, a land of sunlight, rhythm, and memory. It is the heart of West Africa's story, where kingdoms once glimmered with gold, and where the threads of ancient trade still shimmer in the fabric of its people. The name Ghana means warrior king, drawn from the empire that once ruled the savannas of West Africa 1,000 years ago. Yet the landscape of the nation tells a newer story, one of tropical coastlines, forested hills, and the endless, life-giving waters of the Volta River. At the heart of the country lies Lake Volta, one of the world's largest man-made lakes. Its waters stretch over 8,000 square kilometers, winding between hills and villages where fishermen cast their nets at dawn. The Akosombo Dam, built in the 1960s, harnesses the power of this vast lake, turning the river's flow into energy that lights cities and dreams.
To the south, the Ashanti region is the land of legends, home of the ancient Asante kingdom, whose golden stool remains a symbol of unity and strength. In Kumasi, the former royal capital, the air still hums with pride and heritage. Markets overflow with kente cloth, woven in dazzling patterns of crimson, gold, and green. Each thread a story, each pattern a proverb. Along the coast, the Cape Coast and Elmina castles stand solemn against the sea, stone fortresses where the Atlantic once swallowed millions of lives. Their dungeons echo with memory, and their walls face the horizon that carried sons and daughters into exile. Today, they are monuments not only of sorrow, but of resilience, places where the world comes to remember and to heal. Ghana's land is generous. Cocoa farms ripple across the hills, and forests teem with life. In Kakum National Park, a canopy walkway stretches above the treetops, where butterflies and hornbills drift through sunlight. Northward, the savanna opens, dotted with baobabs and the shrines of the Upper East region, where ancient clay houses glow red beneath the setting sun. From forest to sea, from gold to green, Ghana is a story of pride, a place where history and hope walk hand in hand, and where the drumbeat of Africa still echoes through the heart of the land.
Wedged gracefully between Ghana and Benin, Togo is a narrow ribbon of beauty stretching from the Gulf of Guinea to the savannas of the north. Though small in size, it is vast in character. A country where mountain mists, palm-fringed lagoons, and red earth villages coexist in serene balance. The coast of Togo glows with light. The capital, Lomé, rests on the edge of the sea, a city of markets and music. Here, the scent of salt mingles with that of spices and palm oil. The Grand Marché, bustling beneath the sun, bursts with color. Fabrics fluttering like flags, vendors calling, drummers weaving sound through the crowd. To the north, the landscape rises gently into the Togo Mountains, a spine of forested hills and fertile valleys that cradle waterfalls and hidden villages. In Kpalime, artisans carve wood and weave cloth amid coffee and cocoa plantations. Butterflies dance in the humid air. The mountains seem to breathe. Beyond the hills lies the plateau region, where rivers cut through lush greenery and sacred forests echo with the songs of ancestors. Further north, the vegetation thins into savanna, open skies, rust-red soil, and the rhythm of farming life. Togo's spiritual soul is strong. From traditional shrines to Catholic cathedrals, from Vodun rituals to village dances, the land pulses with belief and belonging. The Lake Togo Lagoon, shimmering beneath the sun, is both a natural and cultural heart. Its islands home to fishermen, spirits, and legends whispered by elders at dusk. Togo is a land of grace in miniature, a slender nation of mountains and music, of faith and forest. It is a place that reminds the traveler that sometimes the smallest landscapes hold the deepest stories.
Benin, the kingdom of gods and kings. East of Togo, along the curve of the Gulf of Guinea, lies Benin, a country where ancient kingdoms once rose in splendor and where the spiritual pulse of Africa beats strong. Here, the past and present merge in a landscape of royal palaces, sacred forests, and whispering waves. In the south, the city of Wida stands as a gateway to memory. Once a port of the Atlantic slave trade, its Route des Esclaves leads from the heart of the old town to the door of no return, an archway facing the sea where countless lives were cast to the ocean winds. Today, the road is lined with sculptures and monuments, art and remembrance entwined beneath the African sun. Yet, Wida is also sacred. It is one of the spiritual capitals of Vodun, or Voodoo, a faith born in Benin and carried across the world. In the Temple of Pythons, sacred serpents coil in quiet peace, symbols of renewal and eternity. Each year, the Vodun festival fills the air with drums, masks, and dance, a celebration of life, ancestry, and the unseen world. Further north lies Abomey, the royal city of the Dahomey Kingdom, once one of Africa's most powerful empires. Its walls of its palaces still stand, their bas-reliefs telling stories of kings and warriors, of conquest and ceremony. Here, history feels alive. The earth itself seems to remember. To the north, the land opens into savanna. The Pendjari National Park, part of the Great W. Arley Pendjari Trans-Frontier Reserve, teems with life. Elephants, lions, hippos, and flocks of migratory birds. It is one of West Africa's last great wildernesses, where nature roams free and unbroken. Benin is a land where spirit and soil intertwine, where every tree and river carries a whisper of the divine, and where the legacy of kings and ancestors still guides the living. In the heart of West Africa stands Nigeria, vast, vibrant, and unyielding. It is a country of immense diversity, where more than 200 million people speak over 500 languages, a land of rainforest and savanna, of mountains, deltas, and cities that never sleep. From the mist-covered plateaus of Jos to the mangrove labyrinth of the Niger Delta, Nigeria is a world unto itself. The Niger River, the great artery of the land, winds in a graceful arc through forest and plain before spreading into one of the planet's largest deltas, a maze of water, oil, and life. Here, Fishermen glide through mangrove channels where herons perch like sentinels, and the air smells of salt and flame. To the north, the Sahel stretches beneath vast skies, open plains where herders guide cattle through grasslands of fading gold. Ancient cities such as Kano, Katsina, and Zaria still pulse with the memory of empires, the Hausa city-states, the Sokoto Caliphate, whose markets once traded gold, salt, and learning. In the west lies Lagos, a city of motion and might. Its skyline rises from the sea like a mirage of glass and concrete. Its streets pulse with the rhythm of traffic, music, and life. From the beaches of Lekki to the chaos of Balogun Market, Lagos embodies Nigeria's relentless energy, creative, chaotic, unstoppable. To the east, the Obudu Mountains climb into cool air, their green slopes dotted with waterfalls and forest trails. The Cross River rainforest, dense and ancient, shelters some of Africa's rarest primates, drills, colobus monkeys, and chimpanzees whose calls echo through the mist. Nigeria's power lies in its diversity. Yoruba drums, Igbo masks, Hausa minarets, Tiv dances, and Fulani herds all moving within the same heartbeat. It is a nation of contrasts, of immense wealth and profound struggle, of ancient roots and unstoppable modernity. In Nigeria, Africa's spirit stands tall, vibrant, vast, and unbroken. From the desert to the delta, it is a country that defines not just a region, but the rhythm of a continent. From the roar of Lagos and the savannas of Sokoto, our journey turns north once more to the lands of Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali, where the sands of the Sahara meet the music of the Sahel.